Webinar here at Brizy. JP and Dimitri here with you guys tonight, our third webinar, and it's Friday. So why are you here with us and not outside painting the town red? I know for many of you, it's maybe just the beginning of the day. For us, already late night. Let's see who we've got here. We've got Manikanta from India and Canada. Marcus, hello. Stefano, Jesse, California, hello. Ross, Anthony, hello. Welcome again back, Anthony. David, everybody, we see you guys logging in. Very good to see you again here. Some of you we see here for a third time around. Sergey, Stratos, hey, Stratos, hello. Ivan, Renee, welcome, South Africa. And then Sarbataland. And Dimi, you're also there. Welcome.
Hey, welcome, guys.
Yes. Okay. While you guys are all logging in, it's a nice Friday evening here for us. In South Africa, it is 7 o'clock, and over there where Dimi is, it is 8 o'clock. And tonight, we're going to have a look at a webinar landing page registration form. We're going to show you how we build it from top to bottom. And then we're going to show you a number of tips along the way, some best practices and some mistakes as well. And at the end, we're going to show you how you can integrate Demio, which is the webinar software platform that we are using to host this video into the page that you are creating. So at the end of the day, or at the end of this webinar, it's just basically a nice how-to video. And the big thing for tonight is, let's go to the next slide, and I just pressed the arrow on my keyboard. Okay. The session is 90 minutes plus, but we expect it to be a little bit longer. A lot of the videos that we will show tonight, they are pre-recorded. We wanted to make sure you get good quality. We are testing that out. We'll pause after the sections and we will answer questions during those times the video is playing. And then after the video, we will quickly have a look and you just summarize everything that we've talked about. Maybe there are some questions that's of interest to everyone there. And there's more than one surprise tonight at the end. So if it's not bedtime for you and you can stay up late tonight, you got permission, then wait for those surprises at the end. And good. So we know from experience, we can tell you to stick to the topic when asking questions, and we know that's not going to happen. We will try and help with those questions that we can. If it is future feature requests or technical questions, unfortunately, we are not equipped to answer that for you. And if you ask us, basically, are you going to add this in the future? We're going to say yes. It's going to come in the future. It's a matter of when and how it's going to happen. So try and stick to the things that you see we do on screen and in the video. And if you think that's interesting, you want to ask a question about that, please go ahead in the chat room. We will get that. And yes, John, I just saw the word South African there. Yes, I am here, and I'm from Stellenbosch all the way down there in the Cape. So here am I quickly. We know a little bit about myself already, and this is the same from last week. My favorite food, pizza. I'm very scared of flying and all those other kinds of things. And then I think, Dimitri, before you introduce yourself, Dimitri, maybe you can tell us a little bit why the UI and UX is all your fault. But over to you. Let's hear from Dimitri.
Hey, hi guys, welcome to this third webinar. Yeah, it's my fault and I put it there in, it depends how you look at it, right? But yeah, it's partly my fault because we're a team here and the guys contributed a lot with ideas and yeah, basically I handle the UI and UX. If something is there that you don't like, you can blame me. I'll take it, right?
Okay, Sterling Williams at Mobile First also joined. Good to see you, Sterling. And Jesse says, Dimi, that the UI is stellar. And I think, of course, we're all going to agree on the fact that that is what drew everyone to that. Right, guys, because we are going to have quite a number of videos here tonight, and we are testing them out, and it's going to take quite a long time. We're going to kick off with the first video. You have seen the page. Let me quickly, I'm very scared to do the screen sharing thing because I mess that up every time, but I think, let me do that. Otherwise, you won't have an idea of what we are going to do. So share your screen and let me do this all correctly at this moment. And can you see my screen, Dimitri?
No.
No, not yet. Let me see. Let me do it again. Oh, yeah, I have to select and share. There we go. Okay, good. Can you see now?
Yep.
Okay, right. So this is the landing page that we will create tonight within the videos. As you can see, for the different blocks, we have cut them into separate videos. So we will go through each one and show you how we got there. You can ask questions about that. And then at the end of each of these sections, we will come back and chat to you guys. We really want to know what is it that you want to know, where can we help? And that is the idea. So it's very... it's one landing page that we will go through, and we will try and show you some other practices and indicate some things that are very good practices within Brizy that can help you with that.
Of course,
okay,
we'll be in the chat in the meantime. So
right. Yes. So we're going to hop on over to the chat, guys, and we're going to start with the first video now. It's just about 5 minutes. Before we start building, a quick few things about housekeeping. I'm quite a freak when it comes to pre-planning. Well, planning actually already assumes it is pre, so I don't have to say pre-planning unless you are going to plan off the plan, which is totally, well, let's not go there. Good. So what we're going to start with, we're going to start here with this header and then this section over here. But I want you to quickly have a look at the styling that we have here. We have nice harmonious colors, a very good flat color design over here. And then we are using two fonts from the same font family. We have this one here, and this is a serif font. And then over here, it is a sans serif font. And these two we combine. And what we've done is we've set them up in the styling options. We set them and we forget them. And styling is one of the incredible strengths in Brizy. If you click here on the styling in the sidebar, you will see that we already set the color palette over here for these colors that we will be using. As well, we've already changed our fonts and their sizes and all the styling connected to that within these presets. I like to call them presets, even though they are styles. But the moment I tell people it's a preset, like, oh, okay, I get it. So let me just give you a few quick things here. Where do we get these colors from? Of course, we experimented with them at the beginning. We came up with a color theme and scheme. And if you're anything like me, you did something like this. You wrote down all your color codes and all your settings for all the various desktop, tablet, mobile. I know it's a lot of work, right? It's just something I do. So let's quickly have a look at the colors. You know how to do that. You know how to click here and change the colors. And then a few things I just want you to note here for when it comes to the typography styling. If I click here on this one, paragraph, you're going to see here in the dialog box that we only have 3 fonts here. Noto Sans is the sans serif that we will be using. It's either sans or sans. And then Noto Serif is, well, it's baby, it's the one with the little twirly willies. Good. So we have Noto Sans and Noto Serif, and these are the two we will use. And then we have Lato here, which, why does it look like this? It will look different on yours. Quick, let's have a look at that. If you go here to add new font, and I always put things in my mind that I can remember what it is, I call this the font manager. If I click here, you will see it go, let's go to fonts here. And here are the 3 fonts that we currently have in that dialog box. Now, Noto Sans will not appear by default. You have to add it. To add a new font, you go here to add new, Google Fonts, and then you type it in here, Noto Sans. Let me see if it's still there, Noto Sans. And because I've already uploaded it, they will give you Hong Kong, Japan, etc. But we're not going to add it, so we go back to fonts. I've already added it. Noto Serif comes as default. Lato comes as default, but it's the one font that cannot be deleted. It's the one that just doesn't want to go away. It's like a very, very bad relationship from your past that sticks with you forever. Lato is a very good font, so you don't mind having it around. You never know when you're going to use it. I love using Lato on video titles and things like that, off the topic. So because of that, I have deleted the other fonts that I don't need. I hate clutter. I love minimalism. And even if it takes me a few extra moments to do that, that's what I've done. I've deleted these. So that is why if you go to styling and you go to your text dialog box or your typography dialog box, you're going to see in my display only these 3 fonts appear there. Then I've set everything here for paragraph, subtitle, above title, and I've used all my preset headings here. And one thing I also want to quickly say, it's very easy to confuse the two words header and heading when we are working with web pages. Sometimes we use them interchangeably, and it's very confusing to newcomers what these two words mean. Header is this thing up here where your menu goes, and a heading is to do with your text levels. So heading, header. Okay, just off the track again. I've set it here, and all of these I'm going to use. If you need more, you just go here to add new, and you can add more. Right, so we are ready. Let's start here with our header, and after that we'll do this section. And the first thing we'll do is bring in a blank block. Any questions to this, but I have a question actually while working on it. What is the decision to keep Lato as a default font? Why I cannot remove that? Is there a reason behind that?
Yes, there is a very important reason. The reason is that we need a font, default font, right? If you decide to delete everything, we need a font to actually use it for a default font to use it for your pages. So if you have a custom font, for example, Playfair Display or Montserrat or something else, if you delete those, all the styles will automatically default to Lato.
Anthony, I agree with you. As a video maker, I use Lato, especially in titles a lot. Very nice and clean font, very good looking, graphic design, perfect font. Guys, I see some of you are saying you have buffering issues. This is a video, and Dimitri did say if you see that, try and refresh, just see if that works. If it doesn't work, just drop us a line in the chat so we can have a look at that. Good, so let's begin with our header. We continue. We need to bring in 3 columns, and by default we get the 2 columns. And I'm going to add a new columns, and by default we get the 2 columns. And I'm going to add a new column by going here to the settings options and then click on the plus. Always remember, if you just want to have a new empty column, you click here on add a new column. If you already have content inside and you want to duplicate the column, then you go over here to duplicate. Right, so we just added, and we're going to leave it as is. And what is very nice, every time that you bring in a column within Brizy, it's going to space them evenly for you. So all 3 of these columns are at 33 1/3%, and you can check it if you click here on the little handlebar between the 2 columns. You will see in the heads-up display, it tells you at 33.3%. We'll leave it there. Good, so on this side, we are going to bring in, and we're going to use a button. We're going to build this very much from the ground up. We're not going to use fancy menus. This is a one-pager. We're not going to go into the menu structure of the theme, nothing like that. We're going to do everything here. Then we're going to add anchors to our various sections. Then we're going to link these buttons at the end with those sections. For now, we're just going to build and style them. Go to add elements and button over here. Let's click and drag and drop our button element over here. The first thing I usually do is I'm going to change the text. Double click on it and capital letters speakers. Let's go and style it. We go here to the button settings, and what we're going to do here is custom. I'm going to make the width 0 because I don't need all that spacing. And for the height, I'll keep it, I'll remove it, I'll move it down to, oh, what is that? We'll move it down to 11. And I'm just typing that in directly. So that is my size for the fill, no fill. So I click here on the X, it will remove everything else. And it's gone now because of the colors. Good, so we're done. And the icon, let's remove the icon as well. Then it's still there. Let me just find it. Where are my settings now? Okay, and then I should have changed the colors first. I only want to change the text. So remember, the first option you get is background, then text, then border, then shadow. Click on text first, and we can choose either of these. I'm going to choose this for the button color. And then for my hover color, let's choose this teal turquoise color. Let's click off it. And there we go. That's how it looks. And let's just style it all the way to the left. Just going to change quickly for the typography. Make sure. Right, quickly set. Got that right. Good, so we've got that one ready for speakers. The next one is that we're going to add 2 more. And this is why it's always important that you style everything before you duplicate it. Otherwise, if you duplicate and you style one, you need to go and do the others individually. And because we're going to duplicate this twice for topics and seats, we're going to make sure that everything works perfectly. And what I mean by that is before you do that, you go into responsiveness. So I'm going to go to my tablet and I'm going to make sure that my settings here are also correct. Again, I go here to my button and you will see the size is set at small. And we applied a custom setting. So I'm going to have to do that here as well. 0 and 11, that's good. And then we go for the mobile and we do the same. Click on it, go to my button, and again over here and 11. That is important that you do those before you duplicate them. Otherwise, if you duplicate them and you come back in the end, you're going to see your buttons are going to look all whacked and you're not going to be entirely sure why that is the case. Let's go back to our desktop. I think we're all set now. We can begin the duplication process, monsieur. Go here. Now we click here on duplicate and it's going to add, and I did that twice, so it adds 2 more buttons adjacent to the first one. Let's change the text first. Simply double click, and this one is topics. Double click, and this one is seats. And now a little not enough space between these buttons, so we go now. Click on the button, you will see there's an option now for spacing. Let's increase this to around 30. Right, so one thing you're going to run into working with Brizy, like you've seen now a few times with me, is that when I click here and I work the settings, it's going to sometimes cover up what I'm busy with. Because you're at the top of the page, this is going to be a problem for you. And the way to get around that is just to bring in a placeholder block that you place above it so that you can work a little bit better. And we do that. You go to add a new blank block over here. Over here, you go to reorder blocks. And you just grab this one and you drag it above that one. Now you have some space at the top. So what's going to happen now if I click again here on my button and I click here on the settings, and it's still not enough space. So let me drag a little bit more space in there. Okay, right. So because it's quite a lengthy box, this dialog box is pretty lengthy because of the extra spacing slider here at the bottom. So this is something that you have to take note of. If it bothers you, this is the way you have to do it. If you know exactly what you're going for, maybe you don't need that one at the top. And this is usually only the case once you start building a header because you're at the top of the page. Let's bring in the image next. Click here and I click and drag and drop my image. Click on the image element, go here, and then for upload image, and I select my Brizy one. And it's going to look a little bit gnarly. We're going to fix that very soon. To fix it, we go here to settings. The first thing I'll do to get it to the correct aspect ratio, double click in the height and type in 100%. Now we have to reduce it to a manageable size. Let's drag it down until we get it to where it looks good, and less is more. That's what they always say, except money. Okay, 17%, I like it. Over there, it looks good for me. Good, so we place that one. And then finally, we're going to do this one, which is back to Brizy. So people come to your website. This is a landing page, and you want them to go back to your main page. You bring in this one back to Brizy. Very similar to what we've done here. We've just applied different settings to the font. You can see it's a little bit smaller. What I'm going to do is go back here. Let's duplicate this one. And then we click on this one and drag it over here. And then what we do is click on it and we align it all the way to the right. Good. You see, already we are halfway there. And then we're going to say back to Brizy. I get my typing back to Brizy. Let's keep it small. And this time we need to bring in an icon. So I'm going to go to icon, click here. This will be under glyph, and I'm going to type in arrow, and it's going to give us a lot to choose from. And this one over here, click on that. Good. And then we want to place it on the left, back to brizy.io. Perfecto. Let's change our custom styling for this. Going to keep it at 14. Let's see the rest. I think let's make it a little bit tighter to give it that impression that this is, just an afterthought. What we'll do for the colors, go to text and make the main color this gray one over here, and we leave the hover that teal, right? Good. We're done with our header, but we're never done. And every time you think you're done, you have to put that knot in your head that you have to go check for responsiveness. Let's go over here to our tablet, and the moment you see this, you're going to see all we need to do here is apply some more space over here. You can do it two ways. The first one, of course, you can do is go here to the button and reduce the spacing. That is one option. But let's say you want to leave that spacing at 30. Then you grab the handle over here and you drag it. Now it's going to push this one down here. All you need to do is, let's say you put this handle at 35%, 35.1. Go to this handle and drag it in. And then there you go. So those are two ways. And you play around with it. You see what works and what doesn't work. And at the end, it must be pleasing on the eye. So we've built out our header over here. And then we go to mobile. What we're going to do on mobile is we are going to center them. They are already centered. This one we are going to deactivate. And then what we'll also do is go here and we will rearrange them like this. So you will have the mobile icon at the top, and then you have these three little piggies over here where people can click, and we will add those links later. So our header is done. The only thing that I will do at this moment is that because we're going to have it at the top of the page, we want to have minimum space over here. So I'll grab my padding up here. I just click and hover over it, and then I drag it, and it will go to a minimum of 15 pixels. But I think I'm going to leave that minimum of 15 pixels there. If you wanted to go to 0, you go into settings over here and more settings, and then you change it to 0. But I'm happy clappy with that 15 pixels. So let's leave it like that. Our header is done. We got to most of the questions during that. Dimitri, I have one question, and we talked about the toolbar. At the beginning, I was working there with the toolbar, and I had to work around it. And you said you guys have some ideas. The team is working on some ideas. Do you want to let us know a little bit of some of those ideas?
Yeah, sure. Well, we have a lot of ideas, right? They're all on some list. We have like we can do sometimes maybe a more technical webinar and show the internal board with 7,000 issues all resolved. So ideas we don't lack. How toolbars work right now is if they have space on top, they will appear on top, right? Because we don't want to bother you and cover the content. But if they don't have space on top, they'll cover what you're editing basically. And the idea is to right now the toolbars, they don't communicate with the page in any way, but in this simple way. If I have space on top, I'll go there. If not, I'll go down. But we want to program in and let the toolbar communicate with the page in such a way that it will know if it doesn't have space, it will go to the side, maybe on the left or on the right. So it's doable technically, but we have a bit more important things to work on right now, and we've pushed it a bit.
I think I see Rosemary says, I love the interface. And I remember the first time I got on Brizy, I was like, huh, this can be done. And I think definitely the interface and the UI and the UX is one of the strengths. So even with that workaround, I get so used to clicking on an element and it's just there. I don't have to search around on my menu for the different things. And I really think this is a major strength of Brizy.
When back in the day, I think last year, when we've launched Brizy, and I've got a couple of emails saying that, man, I can't do anything with this builder. What is this? I click 3 options, and right there, I knew that we were on the right track, because you can do a lot with it, but it shows only it's yeah.
Right. So let's continue. Let's look at the first section. Everyone's still happy? Everyone's still happy? I hope you have a nice, comfortable environment. I'm very happy here where I am. I've got dogs sleeping at my feet. I've got cats sleeping in my back. There's nothing better than a sleeping cat. Otherwise, they are scratching or they are stepping on the keyboard. We're not done with our top section yet. We're going to do this part now, our nice looking hero header thingy with text elements over here and then over here to save your spot. And we'll bring in a link for save your spot also later. Immediately, always when you think in terms of design, you have to think columns. It starts with columns. How many columns do you need? And then how do you want to proportionize those columns? Eureka. Good. So what I'm going to do under these 3 columns, go to add elements and we bring in columns. Columns act like an element. That's why it's under add elements. Click and drag it here, and the moment you bring it in, you will see those gray lines appear all over your page. A gray line indicates to you where you can drop the element. I can drop it here, 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 but I want to drop it under this one. So I want to create basically a new row, a new level, so I can bring in that text. Drop it, and there we go. And you can see that we have these 2 columns. I'm going to split them to 70-30. So grab my handle and drag it all the way to 70. Good. Now we're going to bring in text elements. If you know what you are working on, if you have a layout, like I know I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, what I usually do is I just go and add those 3 text elements like this. So I don't have to go, oops, Control Z for undo. Let's do it again. Bring in text element, another one, and another one. See, I'm always too hasty, make those kind of mistakes. And from here, I bring in my text. So for the first one, to select text, it's the same way you can click and drag. I love shortcuts, so it's Control Command A. But the one that I've used a lot lately works in any text editor or anything with text like that. Triple click, 1, 2, 3, and it will select the whole paragraph. And we can type in for this live webinar. Yes, we're live here. And now we are going to apply a heading style to it. So I go to my T for typography, and then over here, I'm going to choose heading 5. Now remember, before I apply it, this heading style I had set up earlier in my styling options. So just to give you an idea again, if I go over here, heading 5, it's set at Noto Sans. Size 20, normal weight 1.5, letter spacing of 0. I also want you to note these 2 little icons here. I've also set different ones for my tablet. I've reduced the size to 17, and then for my mobile display, reduced it 1 more to 16. The others stay the same. And this kind of styling I've done for all of them. This is the best way you can have control over your colors and over your styling across your entire site for all your responsive views. You make a change here, and I'll show you quickly how to do that. It will change everywhere. Let's go back here, click on Live Webinar to activate the toolbar, go to T for typography, and then we say for all your responsive views. You make a change here, and I'll show you quickly how to do that. It will change everywhere. Let's go back here, click on Live Webinar to activate the toolbar, go to T for typography, and then we set heading 5. You see it changes immediately. So just to, well, let's leave that for the end. We can look at that again for the styling. Let's go to colors, and I'm going to make this purple. And good, it is purple now. And put it on B for bold and beautiful, live webinar. Good. So this part is done. We're done. We don't have to do anything else for that. The next one for my header, I'm just going to copy text from my processor. I'm going to come back in here, triple click and Control Command V to paste my text. This one I'm going to use a heading 1 and choose heading 1 over here. Now this, what I just did, is one of those very common questions that we see on the forum. When we select these heading and these styles, these are preset styling options. It's got absolutely nothing to do with SEO and HTML tags. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. If you know what I'm talking about, just take note of it. That this, what you see here in this box here, has got absolutely nothing to do with SEO, and it's got nothing to do with your HTML tags. It's purely focused on styling. This is a preset called heading 1. If you want to give this a tag though, like a what is it, H1 or H2, we will do this maybe H2. It's pretty long for H2, but nonetheless, to do that, you go to settings, and over here, HTML tag, you go and click on the drop down. You can choose which one you want to apply, and I'm going to, let's say I put mine on H2. Just take note of that. Don't forget that. And then let's change the color to one of these two. And that's it. I'm done again with that one. And then the last one, let's triple click on it, and we're going to type in, let me just move this paper out of the way, 12 September. Nah, it's not 13 September. What am I talking about? 13 September 2019, and then we do that, and it is 8 p.m. Dimitri's time, EST, which, and then last one, it is 90 minutes or forever. Good. And then I am going to apply, and I made this one a subtitle. So I click subtitle. It's already applied. It's just a slight difference because it comes in with a paragraph styling by default. My subtitle is just slightly different, and I will leave the color. I think, yeah, that color is good for me. Everything there is fine. Does it look good? I think it looks good. Nothing to change. Let's do this one, and then we will look at the spacing between our header and this part over here. Let's bring in a text element, and we drop it. And then we also need to bring in the button. Okay, so we're gonna grab that and drop the button. For the text element, let's triple click. Let me get my text, and then we come back here, triple click again, Control V, and there is my text element. For this one, we leave it on paragraph. You will see it comes in by default at paragraph. We are happy with that, but let's make the color a little bit darker for this one. Double click on our button and says save your spot. And we have to do some custom styling here. It didn't bring that in, so I'm just going to do that. And I think our button looks good for this. Our icon, we're going to remove the icon. And then I'm just going to do some custom styling here. Let's make it Native Sons, and we make it bigger at 16. And I'm going to put it on bold. It looks good. Shall we give it some rounded corners? We shall not. I think just to go and play around, let's put it on S for small, and then we go for T for our typography. Don't think it should have the same effect. No, it creates a little bit less spacing there, so I like it. Let's leave that at 16. And if you want to apply borders, your border, and if you want to, let's make it a little bit rounder. I go back to the button and I click here on my custom settings, and we take it up to 5. Save your spot. Go over here to our column settings and then click on the settings for the column, and we vertically center it like this. Let's clean up a few things here now because it's beginning to look crowded. What I'll do is I will first remove this one here. We need space up here, and we're going to do that with the spacer. Bring in add elements, grab the spacer, wait for the thick gray line to appear here between these two levels that we have created, and then we drop it there and we give it some extra space. Click on it. You can drag the handle like this and then gauge it with your eye. And if you have anything more specific, you click here on the little cog for the settings, and it's at 69. I wanted it at 70. Man, randomness just rears its ugly head again. 70, good. And now it is starting to take shape. And I was looking this morning at some websites, and I love to look at other websites. And I think the number one problem I see on most websites is lack of space. We call it white space or negative space. It doesn't matter what you call it. You need that division, and the space gives you that structure. Sometimes it divides, sometimes it combines, sometimes it just creates a good layout. But I see that problem all the time appear on the sites, that people do not add enough space, or they cram everything too close together. And remember what I told you? When you think you're done, the moment you say, okay, I'm done, that little bell has to go on ding, 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 like a train coming in Alan Wake, very directly at you. You have to think of responsiveness. We are so used to designing for the desktop because it looks so spectacularly beautiful that we forget to go into responsiveness. Before I go into responsiveness, let me just add some little bit more padding here at the bottom. You hover over it, you can see it is at 75 pixels. And I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to just add another 20 pixels to around 95. Right, let's go into our tablet view. I think we should add a little bit more padding in the middle. Let's go up here to the settings over here. And I'm just going to add 30, not add, but I'm going to add 15, 15, and I'm typing it in. So we have 30 pixels on the left and the right of the column. Again, remember what I told you. You have to go and think again and again and again of your negative space. Make sure you have enough space. When we are done here, we'll go preview it on the front end. We haven't done that to see how it looks currently. And then for this one, let's go and do the same. Click on Net Settings. Let's give this one just a little bit more on the right. And then on this side, we'll increase it also a little bit more. See how that looks. It looks much better presented. Good. So we are done with our tablet, and then let's go to mobile. And what we are gonna do for our mobile is, you can see immediately, you can see this is very near the edges. And even though it may look good to you, I want to tell you that if you know anyone who works with an iPhone X, the resolution from side to side is far narrower. So what looks good here may not display very well on those high-end devices. And we're going to have a look quickly at that. That sometimes when you look at here, you have to go test it somewhere else and come back and make those changes. Nowhere it can be perfect. But I know for a fact that I need space here on the left and the right. So I'll go to my column and I'll apply that space by going to my padding. And what I'll do is I'm going to apply top, bottom, and left. And I've got my numbers here. So I'm going to do it at 50 for the top, and then 30, and I'm just tabbing on my keyboard to go through it a little bit at the bottom, and then another 30 on the left. And I've just squashed them all in there, but it looks much better if you were to see this on a cell phone. So I have to do the same for this one here. Let's go to that, and let's go to our settings. And this one, I'm only going to apply 20 pixels on the left and the right. Good. And I realize I made a mistake. I used my tablet settings. So let's go back to this one. And we're going to keep it at 0, 20, 0. Let's make it, 0 and 20. We want to keep them the same. My mistake there. Yeah, that looks much better. It bothered me. This is what happens when you write down things and you just slavishly follow them. Finally, one thing I want to say here, this is about consistency. Another big mistake that you see in website design all the time is that, as you can see, all our text currently is to the left. It is aligned or flushed to hard left. The problem is that our button is here in the middle. And normally you will think, that's nothing wrong. Buttons are in the middle. No. If all of this at this moment appears to the left, it's a good idea to put your button also to the left. It just looks better and it feels better for people when they come to your site. And if you've done graphic design, whether it feels or looks good, you know it's a rule, so you just want to apply it. But this is a personal taste. If you want to keep it in the middle, you can go ahead and keep it in the middle. Otherwise, because everything on my cell phone is flushed, is aligned to the left, I also want to bring that button all the way to the left. So let's review quickly if everything looks good, because, you know, at any time when you go through these things, you may find it does not look the way you want it to look. Now let's do the thing that we should have been doing all the time, and that is to save our work. And to save our work, you go down here to the bottom and update. And if you're like me, shortcut fan, then it is Control S on Windows and Command S on a Mac. And then once you have updated it, you can go preview it here by click on the preview button. And this is where I just quickly want to show you what happens when you work with an iPhone X, which got that narrow display. Does it look good? I think it looks good. Will Dimitri, do you approve? Okay. So far, so good. We've got identical copies there. iPhone X over here, let's have just a quick look at how this will display. And I'm going to drag it. And you can see what's nice here. We have disabled the view for that back to Brizy, so it does not display on it. It looks fine. It doesn't look squashed. Everything comes in nicely together. And that is why you have to remember, if you go again to your mobile, that spacing here that we applied, it's crucial. If you don't do it, you're going to think it looks okay. But someone on an iPhone is going to see everything almost beyond the border. No, they're not going to see it. It's going to be cut off. So take that into consideration. As devices change, we also have to adapt to it. And cell phones, mobiles, tablets, they're a big part of our user experience. Desktop. And while we are here, one of the cool tips we did this week is how can you quickly cycle through your various desktop, tablet, and mobile views. And there's a very nice shortcut key on your keyboard, and that is to use the plus and minus combined with Control on Windows, Command on a Mac. So if I say Control minus, you see it goes to tablet. I say Control minus again, and it goes to cell phone. If I say Control minus again, it cycles back. So you can just use the same key, but if you want to go up, so I go Control minus to mobile, and I want to go up to tablet, Control plus. Logic, my dear Watson, logic. Elementary, elementary. Sure. Miss Castle, my English teacher, would be so disappointed, spent all that time, and I call it logic, not elementary, my dear Watson. Right, let's see what's up next. Webinar registration. We are going to present as, who are those two guys? Come on, introduce yourself. We know who you are. Good. Very nice, simple section we are going to do next. With this background we've already set, and then we're going to have this little blurb with our faces in here. And boy, I think we are in a smiling competition, but Dimitri takes the cake. Question number one, SVG images, and you gave the answer. Let's just recap on that. I know I'm a big user actually of SVG in my own graphic design. So what is the plan for SVG for Brizy?
Yeah, we plan to bring background SVGs first. Also, we are working on. You can use SVGs right now, right, in Brizy if you really want to. We just put an embed element there and just embed your link to the SVG, and it will show on the page. It's not the Brizy way, right? But it works if you.
Okay.
So and a step after that will be the new icon library that we want to expand and work on it, because even if over 4,000 icons are a huge number, everyone knows the styles are somewhat limited to outline and glyphs. So we are in discussions and with some of our partners. We will be working with someone that knows their icon business. So most likely we'll have a lot of sets in different styles and different.
I'm very big on icons. I mean, I've got subscriptions all over the internet to these libraries that contain like millions of icons. So I think icons, very nice feature. And of course, the problem for us as people who are design is that sometimes we all use the same icons, and we can spot it very easily on the internet. You go to a site and you're like, okay, this was made with this builder. And I think that's probably what happens in the end. You just want to have something different. That's good. I have a question for you, and I'm not sure if you can answer me. It's every time I'm designing, it's the kind of thing that I wonder. Is there a difference between putting something at 69 pixels or 70 pixels? Does it make a difference to how the site will work and function, or is it just a number? Because I always want to put everything at 70, 80, 90, or 100. But is there a difference if I put something like at 69?
No, it's just a matter of difference in your. You'll be obsessed with it if you don't put it at 79, right? But it doesn't matter from the preview point of view.
Okay,
it's just a number.
So
right?
I won't get SEO penalized if I put it at 69, something like that. That won't happen, right?
No, it doesn't matter. No.
John says the internet will break at 79 pixels, so I'm never going to use 79 pixels again. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's look at the next section that's about the presenters. Right, let's bring in a blank block and we're going to leave. Right, let's bring in a blank block and we're going to leave it at 2 columns. I'm going to set my columns already. Look carefully what I'm doing. I'm dragging this one and I'm just going to 10. Let's put it around 11. For the background, let's do that. Just give color so we can see what's standing out. I go to the block settings, color, and then click on the yellow swatch to give me that. Let's give some extra padding at the top. Drag it to around 150. And for the bottom, let's add also a little bit more, like 100 around there. Right. Let's start with this column first, and we're going to say presented by, and then we're going to bring in also an icon. Add elements, text, and I know I'm going to bring in an icon, so grab my good friend icon and drop Mr. Icon there. Good. Now we've got our icon and we've got our text. Triple click in here, and then we type in presented by. Let me just move that. Papers all over the place. I'm so disorganized today. Presented by. And then we are going to give this presented by a header of a heading 3. Let's go for that. Typography, heading 3. And you are still thinking, JP, none of this looks good. That's why you have to go to settings and more settings. And this is now where all the magic is going to happen. Over here, for the margins on the right, we're going to give it a minus, and we're going to give it a nice minus of 400. I'm just typing that in, minus 400. And you can see now the negative, or the margin on the right, has been extended beyond the container. So you can still see the text container there, the dotted lines. But now the text can run over that. And that's how you achieve that. There's no limits. Well, there is a limit of a screen, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean. And then let's just give it a little bit at the bottom on the left. I just want to bring it in a little bit more. I'm going to give it 2 there. That's just a slight little thingy. And then icon. Click on the icon. We're going to look for a speaker icon. So let's see speaker. Yeah, there we go. This little dude over here. And I think we're going to stick with the glyph. So we choose this dude. And then let's make the dude custom much bigger. No. 70. I think that's what I've got in mind. Around 70 pixels. He looks good. She looks good. And then just change the color. And one thing you have to keep in mind when working with icons is they come in with a hover option. If I hover over it, you will see it changes slightly. So just remember that if you don't want any hover state, you need to apply both colors. So here is the icon. Make sure you stick to the icon color. I'm going to set it on white. And then I'm going to go to hover and I'm going to set it on white. And I'm going to increase my opacity all the way to 100%. So there we've got that set. Looking good. I want to apply a little bit space here to bring it down. And every time we talk about space, we talk about our good friend spacer. I think it's my best friend in the elements. And for this spacer, how much? Let's see what we've got here. 50, right? Let's reduce it to around 30. So we've got this side set up. Let's begin with this side. And we will bring in columns because we're going to put our little faces in there. Go to add elements, columns, drag it in there. And we're going to work with 4 columns. So I'm going to go and duplicate. And it's a dream within a dream. It's a column within a column. So when you see the columns that are pink, it means they are housed within another column. Now I'm going to leave that for now. I want to go to the main column, the blue one, click on the settings, and then we're going to give it a white background like this. Now we go to more settings over here. And now I'm going to give it a little bit of space. So for this one, I'm going to give it 5 at the top, 80 pixels on the right, leave that 5, and also 80 pixels for the left padding, just to bring it in a little bit. The margins we will leave like that, And then for corner, I'm going to drag it all the way. Let's go back to it, and I'm going to bring in 2 spacers to give us space at the top and the bottom so we don't have to play around with things like negative margins and padding. Look for my spacer. So you see that thick gray line inside the blue column. And then here I'm going to type in 85 pixels. I'm going to do the same for the bottom. So if I'm going to repeat it, just duplicate it and then click and hold and drag it to the bottom until you see the thick gray line. Now my corners are not as rounded as I had dreamt them to be. So the reason for that is because I applied more height to it. Let's go back to our column settings. More settings. And now for corners, computer says no. What do I do? What do I do? Well, there's a way. You just have to click it in. I'm going to type in 250 pixels. And there is relief in the land again. So we've done our background styling for this. Pretty nice. Let's give this one a shadow while we are here. Access that by going to the color here. And then you see shadow. And then over here at the bottom, we have our shadow settings. So we just click in here and I'm going to type in, I'm going to give it a dispersion of 40. Then tab to the next one. Going to have -11, tab again, and then I'm going to say 16. And that's all I'm going to change for it. This is too dark, and this is a very common mistake that people make when they play with shadows, is they leave it at full opacity. So I'm going to grab the slider up here and I'm dragging it down, you see, quite the ways to around 33–40%. People think that they need that shadow to be dominant. You don't. The effect gets actually lost if it is too pertinent and in your face. So remember always to come and reduce your opacity to a more manageable and more presentable level. Good, we've applied a nice opacity over here. It stands out, it's removed from the background, and it looks good. But look at what's going on the left with this one over here. So we need to bring this text to stand out. And that is our good friend, the Z index. Go to settings, more settings, advanced, and you just grab the slider here for the Z index and you can drag it all the way to infinity and beyond. But you can just put it on 1. But doesn't matter. Drag it, I'm leaving it there, and you can see it comes in front of this column at this moment. Let's focus on this first column, and I'm just going to drag in the elements that we will be working with. An image for this column, and then a text for this one, and one more text for this one. I'm leaving these 2 because I'm going to duplicate whatever I do here. But the reason I have them is so I can have an idea of how everything may look at the end. Let's change the text first because it's a little bit crowded. And this one is going to be me. And we can come back and do the styling a little bit later. I just want to reduce all of that extra. What did Dimitri call me? Lead evangelist. Evangelist. Okay. I take my title with pride. Let's leave that and we go to our image and we click on the image, and then choose moi. Bring moi in. And then the first thing I usually do is I go to the height and I put it at 100%. One thing, we are going to make this a circle. And when you work with circles, we highly recommend that when you work with images, you bring them in at a 1:1 ratio. So you can see that this is currently at 108 by 108 pixels, which gives you a 1:1 ratio. When you bring in a square image, it's very easy to make that circle bounding box around it or put it in a circular shape. If you bring it in rectangular with a few pixels lost here and there, it becomes a little bit tricky. You can still do it, but stick to a 1:1 ratio. You can also crop it within Word. You can crop it within WordPress, but that's just highly recommended. So I'm going to select it again. It should still be the same. No, we have to, okay, it's 100%, and then I'm going to reduce the size to get it to the level I want it to be, around 65%. Type it in there. And let's zoom a little bit in on Mo's face. So for the zoom, let's put it at 125%. So I can be in your face, and then we drag this one over here. Good. So that is our image. Let's see how we make it circular. We go to settings, and then you will see the corners over here, and you can just click and it will give you that effect, the one that you were looking for. This is way I'm going to zoom out. I don't think it looks good. Don't know why I thought a zoom should look good on that. Good. So we've done this, and then the next thing that I want to do is that I'm going to align it to the right. Let's give it a shadow. Click here on colors. You see the shadow is over here, and I'm going to give it this teal shadow. And for this, a slight shadow, I'm going to remove the shadow over here. So highlight that one, make it a 0, tab 5, and 5. This is a very standard shadow that you get, that you have this 5, 5, or I go for between 3 to 5 pixels. So you see it gives you that kind of drop shadow over there. Again, remember what I told you about shadows. This is not a shadow until you don't go and reduce your opacity to a little less in your face color. And there we go. Now we have done that one. Let's play with the column settings. Go to column settings over here, more settings. Then I'm going to link my padding by clicking on this icon here. 15 pixels, way too much. So let's reduce it to 5. There we are at 5. So you see I've reduced the size over there. And I just want to go check. This still looks good. Right, let me just go and to the corners again, and I'll just drag it up as the image changes. We're going to fix those things a little bit later. Let's jump to the second column, and we click on my name. And for this one, we're going to give it a heading 4. Heading 4 over here, and we put it on the dark color. And then for this one, we are going to make this what I'm going to call a buff title. No, let's make it subtitle. Subtitle is better. We want to bring them a little bit better. First, let's put them vertical align. Go to the column, settings, and put them in the middle. And then over here, click on this text element, settings, more settings, and then we go to our margin below, and we can just reduce that to 0. And then it will decrease the space there. I think that's enough space. You can grab this one as well if you want. More settings, and then let's say 5 for this top at the top margin, and you bring them closer together. Maybe that's a little too much, and if you think it's too much, you can undo here at the bottom with the undo key, or you can use Command Control Z on your keyboard. I think I'm going to leave a little bit more space in there. This image is a little too big, and what I want to do is I actually want to reduce the image size by clicking on the handle and dragging to the left. You see what I'm doing there? But I'm not going to do that yet. And the reason I'm not going to do it yet is because if I do that and I go ahead to duplicate this column to use it for Dimitri's profile, it's going to make everything, you see this one? And I drag it there, it's going to even it out. And those settings are all going to be lost. So it's better when you play around with the column width that you do that at the very end. So I'm going to Control Z, I'm going to Control Z, and then I'm going to just duplicate this one and duplicate this one, then delete these two. And when you see me do this, I right click and delete, right click and delete. And now all I need to do is grab this column over here, click and hold, and drag it here. There you go. Now I'm going to change it here to 20%. Drag it, drag it, drag it, drag it, drag it. Good. And this one as well, all the way to 20%. Come. There we go. Did you see? It's magic again. Let's change everything for our content. We click on this image, and we delete it. Then we grab Dimitri over here, bring him in. Let's see if he looks good. Let's see if we can change the spot. No, because it's a square, he's going to remain there. That looks good though. And then we're just going to change his name as well, Dimi. And he is going to be our UI and UX designer. Good. Ta-da! And you remember, every time you hear ta-da, you need to go and do something else, and that is mobile responsiveness. Let's head over into our mobile view. Mobile and tablet. And it doesn't look any good. This is what mobile responsiveness is all about. Go to your column on the left and you see this handle over here. Hold it and drag it all the way to the right until you see 100%. Click here on the icon and align it to the left. Now you go over to this column here, click the handle on the right and drag it all the way to the right. Go to your spacer and reduce it. And you can check it up here. Let's put it at 15. And we go for the spacer at the bottom. Same thing, reduce it. Let's see what this is. 10. Let's also put it at 15 for our consistency. Did you see how quickly we had done that? I'm going to go to this column, click on the column, more settings, and over here on my right, I'm going to make that 0. And that will make my image stretch a little bit and make it a little bit bigger like that. We do the same here for Dimitri, settings, and the one on the right, we make 0. And these are things that you have to get used to. I know many people often they want to have a sure, fast cure for how you can quickly get there and figure these things out. Trust me, this is those small details that can take most of your time. Now, for example, after I've done that, I will look at it and say, no, but now my image is too close to this text. Click on the image, and now we just center align it within that column to make it look a little bit better. Ta-da! And again, this is how you work. You have to go into tablet, and it's a new experience almost every time to make sure that it looks better. While we are here, maybe too much space here at the top. You see we've got the spacer here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the spacer. That will get rid of that space. When we go view it on the front end, we will see if it still looks, or should we reduce some more space. Let's go for the next shock. That will be mobile. Wah! Because we're working with this elliptical shape, it's a good idea to center everything. So let's click on the text, center it. This one is already center aligned. And now we have to perform some major magic on this one. First, I'll go to my column here and then to settings. And I will look up here. That's fine. But then here, I'm going to apply margins. I'm going to apply a margin on the right of 60. No, let's make it 65. And I'm going to apply a margin of 65. Same like this. We're going to bring in it quite a bit so that it can look a little bit better. Click on the image, go to settings, and we reduce the size. Just drag it a little bit if it got stuck like that, but let's move it down to around 60% and we center align it. Same for Dimitri. Let's click on it, just drag it a little again to down to 60%, and then we center align him as well. All of these we're going to put in the center like this, and then we go up here and we reduce this, our spacer, to around, let's make it 30 pixels, and we do the same for the bottom one. Click on that, double click on it, 30 pixels. What did I do? 830. No, only 30 pixels. Let's go back. Right, so looks much better than when we had started, but these are again a little bit squashed, and the reason is because of that margin that is applied. So I'm going to click on my title over here, or my name, and go to more settings, and the margin I'm going to reduce it again to 0. Same for Dimi, click on him or his name and also reduce to 0. And then if I look again from a design point of view, I think we need to add a little more space at the top. So I'm going to increase it like this, and then for the same for the bottom. And you see I'm just judging it. I'm looking there almost like the level that we've got. We add some space at the top for our cell phone. Let's go to the bottom, and I'm going to click and drag. That's how I'm adding the space here, just by clicking and dragging that space. Let's have a look at the tablet as well. I think the space, and we have put this one in disable, and we go back to our desktop. Now we do the save thing, then we go view it on the front end. Right, let's see. Okay, front end looks good. Let's do the Apple iPhone X test to see how it will display, if we need to remove some of those margins or not. You know, every time it looks good, I can just breathe. Maybe need a little bit more space here. We can add that if you would like it, but it looks good. Right on. So we are done with this section. What's next? let's have a look. We're going to do this info section next. Abdul just asked a question, and I think this is something that people may miss very quickly. So I'm going to just share my screen here. Dimitri, let me know when you see my screen. I just have to choose the right screen. I'm confused here. Okay. Do you see it? Okay. Abdul,
Yep.
what you do, and I'm going to go into edit with Brizy here, is when you have that text element, the presented by, it will appear behind it, right? You go here over to settings, more settings, and then advanced. And Sterling Williams, he mentioned earlier, yes, the Z index or the Z index over here. What the Z and the Z index does is that it places your image like a layer, what is at the back and what is at the front. If you put it at 0, you will see it is in the back. From left to right, it goes in orders up. So to make sure that this can appear in front of this, you just grab the slider and you just need to drag it up 1, but you can drag it up any number. And that is how you get it to go to the front. So I hope that one can answer that question for you. Right, Dimitri, you mentioned something during the webinar about the icons half size on the toolbar. What was that about?
It's just an idea we're playing with right now. It's in the drafting phase. We've designed actually the UI. We are planning to basically reduce all the icons on the page to half. So when you click on, imagine you click an element, a text element, right? You saw that toolbar, it has like 10 icons on it because we needed to put things like bold, italic, and all those. But we are thinking of something in our obsession to go minimal. We are designing now something that will reduce all the icons on the interface on the toolbars at half the icons. But what's more important is not that we reduce the number of them and we make the interface even more minimal. And what's important here is that it will not affect the ease of use and the user experience. So it will be basically
the same.
So
jumping another question I think Anthony and Rosemary were talking about Astra and saying the partnership between Brizy and Astra, but I'm going to guess, I think we should give Astra for the theme that they've developed. They've done that all by themselves. And the websites, the demo websites they are developing, they're doing that all by themselves, right?
Yes, the Brizy websites. Yeah, we are doing them together in a partnership. Right. Okay, yes, good. Yes.
So anything you would want to cover quickly before we go to the next video?
No, we can if we don't have any more questions, okay, sure, right. let's move along.
Guys, if you have questions, Dimitri put us in place, right? Let's stick to the topic at hand, and you can ask away on anything that revolves around Brizy. We still have about 5 videos to go, so we are, I would guess, we are halfway there. But the idea is tonight that you can ask your questions. Dimi and I, we are here, and where we can answer you and give you some feedback, we definitely want to do that. So stick around to the end.
One sec, GP. Rosemary is asking, she's confused. She said that we are reducing the size of icons. No, Rosemary, we are reducing the number of icons on the toolbar. So basically, when you click on an element and a toolbar will appears with all those icons, we'll reduce those icons. Instead, you'll not see 8 icons on the toolbar. You'll see only 4 or only 3, depending on the element. But you'll still have access to all those options in a different way. I can't talk about it right now. It's in the drafting phase, and we are looking at it. But it's something really cool, and it will. I guess it will amaze a bunch of people, because you'll click something and you'll see only 2-3 icons, and you'll say, "What? I can't do anything with this." But it will all make sense. It's in the drafting phase. We are designing it right now. When we'll have something to show, I promise I'll put it on Facebook, and we'll do a whole webinar around it, right,
sure.
GB?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen just quickly again for Abdul, the question that he has on how did I get this text to go beyond it. And Abdul, what we did, let me just go to advance and put it back, is that by default, this is within the column, and I had applied a negative margin here on the right. That is what has happened. If you work with margins, your margins come in at default at 0. So then it will look like this. It's going to be within this container, and that's how any grid works within WordPress and page building. So if you want things to overlap, you have to go into negative margins, because this element, this text element, is on the left. It will always, if I go now to my negative margin, which is I typed in -400, what is going to happen, it's going to extend my margin on the right all the way with 400 pixels beyond that border. But because this element is on the left, it will appear behind this one. And actually, I think you can go check out on YouTube. We have this on a Cool Tips Tuesday, how you can overlap images, and then how you can play around with the Z. No, what am I doing here? Padding. How you can play around with the Z index. And actually, it's not a Cool Tips Tuesday. Go check out the video on Z index, Z index. We will put that for you there, so you can understand more about that. Good, let's continue, guys. So we don't go all the way and burn the midnight oil over here. We just looked at how we did the presenter section. Let's have a look at the contents. Let's dive right into the next section. We bring in a new block and a blank block. And what begin? Let's start here. First, we're going to drag our ratio to around 60-40. And then let's give both our top and bottom padding some nice space. I'll go to the settings this time of the block. Click here on settings, more settings, and I'm going to drag it all the way to 120. Keep them the same. And if I cannot get it to 120, double click and type in 120. I should just stick with that, but I always just kick off with trying to first see if I can reach it by myself. Let's have a look then. What are we going to bring in here? Quite a number of things. The first thing we're going to have is a heading. So drag a text in for that. Under the heading, a little bit of space. And then, let's undo that. Control Z, space there. And then we are going to do something very wacky. So observe, I'm going to drag in a column here, and it will become clearer when we get there why I'm going to do that. I'm going to delete one column. Right click and then choose delete. And then within this column, I'm going to bring in text. Right, and that's how it looks. So let's begin with this one. Click on it, then I'm going to triple click to select everything, and we type in just 90 minutes, you'll become super rich. You'll learn. Okay, yes, no such thing as super rich. Let's go to our T for typography and choose our styling. And this one we have add heading 2. Change the color to this swatch over here. Go to settings, more settings, and what we'll do is we'll just put our margins on 0. We don't need any of that space, so I'm going to link them, and then once they're linked, they all go to 0. So we're done for this one. Spacing, this one is a little too big, so we're going to put our spacing on 30. Right. Now let's first grab our column over here. Click on the column, and I'll first do some changes here to the settings. What I want to achieve is I want to add space here on the left. So I want to move my text to the right so that it can form kind of an indent. And we're going to do that by putting padding inside the column. So let's go to more settings, and then 5, 15, 5, and then we want to add the padding to the left. Let's put this at a value of 40 to achieve that. And then for the rest, we can leave this on 0. Now I'm going to create a border, and I'm only going to create the border on the left. Borders are under color. So I go here to color, choose border, and then I unlink the borders over here by clicking on this little chain icon. The settings for borders always work from top, right, bottom, left. So if you want to work on the left, you go all the way here. We give it a thickness of 4 pixels and we choose the teal color. Nice. Now we have that little effect there. Let me click off so you can see. Let's remove some space there. I'll do that first by bringing in my text, which I'm just going to copy and paste here. And remember, this text, we brought in this text element, and by default it is a paragraph element. So I don't need to change anything if I want to keep it a paragraph element. The only thing I'm going to change is the settings here. I'm going to go to settings for the text, more settings, and what I will do is I will make sure my margins are also 0, so I can have that closer to each other. That looks pretty nifty. I like that quite a lot already. Now it's a matter of duplicating what we've done. Go to this one over here, duplicate the spacer, click and drag it here, there, until you see the bigger, thicker one. And then you go to the column, duplicate that one, grab it, and drag it here. Let's do it again. Duplicate spacer, and same thing for the column. We've done that. Now all we need to do is bring in the text for those 2 that we've created. I'm just copying from. There we go. And beautiful. Very, very nice looking, Peter. Let's go to this one. What are we going to do over here? We are going to bring in a new element we haven't worked with tonight, and that is icon box. Icon box. Where are you, icon box? When you bring in the icon box, first thing you do, click on the button and say goodbye to it, delete it, and then we can begin working on the icon. Go to icon, icon, click on icon, and we are going to search. I think this is a check mark. Let me see if that's going to work. Yep, check mark over here. I'm under glyphs, so choose the check mark icon. Let's scroll down and click again on it so you can see it up here. And the size is a little too big. Let's put in a custom value there of 30. We keep the spacing at 20. I like that. And for this one, the teal color works well for me. You see? Let's just have a look at what we're doing. Good. And then let's copy our text and paste it here. Paragraph text is fine. We just want to make it a little bit more prominent. So we're going to change the color over here. Right. So there you go for that one. And that's all you need to do. Next one is we bring again a spacer under it. Spacer. Drag that spacer. And this one's going to be a little bit smaller. Going to put it at around 20. Let's see what happens if we do 20. That should be good. And now let's go and duplicate this one 3 times. And I'm going to look for my spacer, which is here now. Duplicate that. Is it 2 times or 3 times? Only 2 times, right? I just need to bring that. Yes, there we go. And now I'm going to change the text for the others. And I always think when I watch tutorials online and when people do this, I think, wow, that is so simple. And when I go and try and do it myself, I just run into numerous walls after the other because, as you probably guess, I sit here with my notes. I've practiced it quite a few times and I know exactly what I'm going to do. And still I make some errors. So looking at something looks very easy, but then when you try to apply it, it's not that simple. Right, so we need to change a few things. Bonus, bonus. And the icon for the bonus is a star. And then that one is a gift. So star. Let's look for our Starry Night. That one. And we change the color to lavender, purple, or whatever. And then this one is a gift. And GIFT, where is the gift? Which one? This one. Which one? That one there. And we're going to put it on yellow. And everything was yellow. Good. If you want to, you can try a few other things. Like what we want to do is just bring it down a little bit. You can try this one here. For the column settings, put it in the middle or put it at the bottom. Right? Those are a few things you can consider. You can also bring in a spacer at the top if you want to do the following. And that is if you want to bring down your text so that your heading is in an open line, and then all your text start over here. Because I like the fact that the text is more balanced, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to leave it for now like this. I think we've got some good balance to the force there. Or should we add a little spacer up there? Okay, let's go for it. 2 or not 2, always a difficult one. And I'm just going to reduce that a tad. What do we have it at? 14 pixels. And boom, balabing, everything is done, and it looks perfect on this side, which is our desktop view, which means let's go tackle the next one, our tablet view. Now this, by the very first glance at it, is way too crowded. And when you get to tablet or mobile view and things are too crowded, you just make it 100% width for every column. And to do that, we've done it before. You grab this column here, hover over it, grab the handle and drag it all the way to the right. You can just keep dragging. Once it gets to 100%, that's where you want to be. And you do the same for this column over here. And you drag it all the way. Now let's just go do some changes. We go to this column, settings, and we're going to add some padding on the left and the right. So just for this one, to the right, we're going to add another 15 and make it 30. Same for this one. And then we're going to do the same for this column over here. Just gives it more breathing space when people view it on their displays. For the spacer here, I think this is maybe a little too much. Quite too much, my dear. Let's put 10 in there. And then we do the same for these spacers as well. And I don't think I was too quick for this one. Right, let's try it again. 10. And that's it. Let's reduce some of the padding for this column here. And I'm going to take it down to 0 for both at the top and the bottom. Ooh, that's not a 0. That's a 10. Starting to make mistakes. We do the same for this one. Top 0, bottom 0. We can do the same, yeah. We can also copy paste the styles. I'm just doing it all manually. You get a good idea of what's going on here. Looks pretty. Then let's go to this column and click on the space here. I'm just going to disable it here. Don't need that additional space. Then our next settings for this one over here, and let's go and disable all of these spacers, and we'll have a look on the front end soon whether that was the right thing to do or not. Last, let's go to mobile, and for the mobile you can see immediately it is squashed, so we add that padding to our column. Go to the column, settings, and then here for our mobile, let's do the following: 0, and then for this one 20 pixels, and for this one 20 pixels on both sides. And let's go to the second one as well, so we can do it before we forget. And we add 20 pixels here and 20 pixels here. Let's see how that looks. Do they balance nicely? Yeah, I think it looks good. Right. Let's see, what else should we do here? Our spacers, everything else seems to be fine. But our text here is a little too close. So let's go to our inside column, click on the settings, and apply a little more. I'm going to increase that to 10. Yeah, that looks a little better. So I'm going to do that. Actually, I'm deviating a little bit here. But as I'm sitting here now, I think this is something that can make it look a little bit better. In just 90 minutes, you'll learn. Let's see what is our pixel count for this one. 30, and I think we can reduce this. Let's take off 5 pixels for that. And for this one, we can do the same. Let's reduce this to 20. You always have to consider that mobile displays in their vertical position isn't as big as it looks here on the screen. And if you have a block like this where you would prefer to have all that content appear in one screen, you should try and not, well, clam them and squeeze them all together, but you should try and keep them on this screen. Good. Let's pop back to desktop, and we can save our work. You click on Update or Command Control S, And then let's go and preview the ultimate test. There are some that will say finish your whole site and then at the end you go and do your mobile responsiveness. I found that sometimes you come up with a great design and then when you get to that point, it can mess up the entire idea you had, and you are so disappointed with your site that you just feel you're going to stick to it and then you don't change it for the mobile responsiveness. I would recommend what you do, what I just did. Even do it in shorter intervals with different columns. Make sure you do it all the time. Mr. Apple iPhone, and let's choose the X again. The X is always for me the challenge because it's the one where you have to make sure it can fit in. It looks good. There we go. And we can rest assured that we have passed the test for this one. Okay, good. Look at a few questions that we had, and I think one of the questions that Anthony had actually asked me, and then also Stratos had asked the same question related to the spacer. What is the advantage of using a spacer over maybe going into the padding and going into the margins?
I recommend the spacer, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we are not what I want to promote every time, and what we are doing, GP, with Brizy. You know, we've had these discussions a lot lately. For us, is important the ease of use, right? So to make things easy to use, have a excellent user experience when using Brizy, and we pass everything we do through this filter, right? The arguments that there are 3 divs in plus and you have 5 divs there, 2 divs there, it doesn't make too much sense from this perspective. A couple of divs don't make a huge difference, actually, in my opinion, none. And what we promote here is ease of use. And I'll tell you why I think we should use spacings. First of all, you'll see it in the interface, right? When you hover the mouse over a structure, for example, a column, if you put paddings or margins, you'll hover the mouse over that column, and you can't edit them from there. So it will make sense to use paddings and margins if you have them right there in the interface. But the better approach, I think, will be to use spacings, because when you hover over them, you'll see them there, you'll be able to modify them on the spot. The issue we're having right now, and we will solve this, I've shared the screen up above earlier today with the new feature that we'll have soon, is we'll be able to hide all those those elements that. Yeah, because when you add now spacers elements on your page, when you go to mobile or desktop or tablet, even if you hide them in the interface to not show on the tablets or the phone, they will still be displayed in Brizy when you edit it. So you will not get a sense of how the page will look like. But we'll have this option to hide all the elements that are hidden in the page, and using spacers will make perfect sense.
I see Rosemary also mentioning that she keeps forgetting about the element. And actually, when I started last year with the Learn Brizy, okay, those are my dogs. When I started last year with the Brizy page builder, one of the things I did was recreate Brizy blocks, and every time I was surprised, there's a spacer, and I used to use padding and margins. But because I was recreating those, I would start duplicating, or I would start using the spacer. And now today it is just for me so convenient, because especially when you go into tablet and mobile, you just have that bar, that little handle, and you can just drag it up and down. It's really so convenient. While we're talking, Richard also said spacer is very great. And Rosemary mentioned earlier, she was talking to you about the UI interface and the reduction of the icons, and we cleared that up. I think one of the things, one of my hobbies is music production, and I've worked with a lot of software in music production, and some of the big names in that is Cubase, a few other names. The problem with, I think, a lot of the older software is they become very cluttered. You hunt around for things, and And I think the Brizy way is to make the UX, the UI experience the #1 priority. And I think that is maybe the only concern I have sometimes is that, you know, try not to squeeze things in too much, and don't go hunting around for it. And I think that's very important, that people should understand that. And I speak to Dimitri all the time. You guys should know, we talk during the day. I ask him this, I ask him that. And the ease of use and making it very accessible for people is the number one focus here. So you shouldn't worry about that. Dimitri is going to be the guard at the gate to make sure that that user interface always remains the #1 priority.
Yep.
You are the gatekeeper.
I'm the gatekeeper, right?
Yeah. Right, guys. I think we should continue. We've got still a few more to go. We're at the sneak peek now, and I don't want you guys to fall asleep. So let's continue.
Yep.
Let's work on the video section next. I'm going to bring in another column. Let's work on the video section next. I'm going to bring in another column. Let's set our color for the background here, and we put it on lavender. I'm getting confused with the colors between teal and lavender. It's way too strong, so to soften it up a bit, I'm going to grab my slider over here and let's reduce it 50%. That looks much better. Not so devastatingly purple. And then let's go to our settings, more settings, and we just increase it a little bit more to 100. You see there I'm dragging the slider again, and this time it worked in my favor, and that's why next time I'm going to try the slider again, and 3 out of 4 times the slider is not going to give me that perfect pixel. You know, we put it on 100, but you do know there is absolutely no visual difference for any user between 99 and 100. We just love those rounded numbers. But if you ever sit and you just play around with a slider and it looks good, and you look then at the numbers and you see it's 98, leave it. It shouldn't bother anyone. Of course, it's going to bother you and me if we know about it. All right. Let's go to our columns. I'm going to, what am I going to put this on? Let's make this one. Okay, so we're more or less going to do the same like we did up here. Now, normally what I would do, I would just copy this entire block and then just redo the content. But the problem I have is I don't want to use this capsule-like format here. So I'm just doing it again. But I will, let's put it in again around, what are we going to put it on? Just here. And this is what I mean by, you know, just going for a estimate with your eye. Looks good enough? Good. Now I'm going to copy these. So I'm going to bring in, copy that one, click and drag. If I get to the bottom, I'm going to use my down arrow key on my keyboard to move the page, and I'm going to drag and drop that. Go for the icon, do the same. Grab this icon, use my down arrow key, and then drop it there. And then we are going to type in there, select everything, webinar. Sneak peek. Did you see a sneak peek? Right. And then we're going to change this one, this little icon, to a little projector. Is there a word like projector? No, projector doesn't work. Let's see video. Or should I use film? Oh, here it is. We can use this one. Let me just have a look. That one. And we're going to use the outline, not the glyph. So we go for this one over here. And change, doom. There we go. So we can add a little space between that one and this one. So let's bring in a spacer. And we bring it to around here. Okay. You see? That's what I say about judging it with the eye. And then we add same spacer like we had done up here, which should be 30. Let's do the same here. We could have duplicated it. I'm going to duplicate that one, drag it up there. And then I make it look easy, right? Blow your own horn, buddy. And then you, right. So there we go. That's what we've done on this side. We have a webinar sneak peek. And then we're going to bring in our video element over here. Click within this box, grab our video, drag and drop. And what we will do is we are going to put a cover here. We're not going to put a video link. It's like a placeholder that we want to do. So I'm going to click on the video settings here. Leave all of this and then go to cover. click on the image for cover, and I currently don't have it. I thought, well, previously I just brought them in. Let me show you quickly if you don't know how to do it. You can go to upload and then click on select files, or what I like to do is drag and drop. So you bring in your Finder or your, well, Explorer here, and I'm just going to drag and drop it like that. And it's in, and select it. And there we go. This is our background image. And if you want to play around with your focus selector, you can do that, but this is set in the right aspect ratio, which is 16:9, so need to play around with that. The play button here, let's make the play button a tad bigger. We're going to drag it up to 90 pixels. And then let's go over here for our color. Choose the teal. Good. And one more thing I want to do is give it a little bit rounded corners. Oops, let's click on it. Rounded corners for the video element is under settings, more settings, and then you see the corners over here. Going to give it a little bit of rounded corners, around 35. Now that's a little extreme. Let's take it down to 25. Right there, in the ballpark. And we are going to apply again some shadow here to keep it consistent with this one over here. So what I will do is go again to colors and go to shadow. Do you remember the shadow settings from previously? Let's click here. 40, tab, and 35. And then we reduce our opacity down to around 20 or 30%. Looks good. If I juggle between these two, I think this image is too big. So I'm going to click on the image. Go here to settings, and on size, let's reduce it to around, type in there, 95%. And then I'm going to align it to the left. Give it a little bit more of that center feeling. And I feel my corners are still a little bit too much. So let's reduce it. Just give it a slight corner 10. Yeah, that looks much better. Good. We are done with this part. Let's go and have a look on how it displays on the tablet. I am not going to use negative space here, but I will increase this until we can have the webinar completely in like this. Let's reduce this one. And now, because we have increased this column, it has pushed this column to a next line. All we need to do is to bring it back is grab this side and drag it in. And you just keep dragging until it pops in like this. And then you're good. You can click on it if you want to make it bigger. Go to settings and you can increase the size if you want to, like this. And you will see there's some bars at the top and the bottom. For the cover, we know that problem at the moment, something that is going to be fixed. So we are aware of these bars. So if you see these bars like, what are they doing there? We know they are there. And then let's go to mobile and do the same. I'm going to reduce this one almost all the way. Let's put in 10, that spacer over there. And then we are going to put the size on the mobile at 100 because we don't need this space over here. And then what we will do is we will go to this one for the column, click on the settings, and we will add to the left and right 20 pixels. We have to remain consistent. We've done it on all the others because think of iPhone X. The reason we're not doing it for this is because we've got enough space and everything is center aligned, so no need to do it for those ones. We go to our desktop and we go and update our work, and then let's go and preview it to make sure that we are confident we can move forward to the next section and that everything is looking tip-top. Let's use a different display this time. I'll go with, why? I see the displays have changed order. Right, so let's go for a Samsung Galaxy S3. Way back when I used a Galaxy S3, son. And you see, this is what we talk about, the spacing. Aware of this. If you use a regular YouTube link, this will not happen. Currently, it's only for the cover, so just be aware of that. But the rest of it, it is manageable and it looks right. Let's hear the comments. Just to reiterate that last point there, guys, we are aware of the image cover for the video element. That is something we are looking at. Right, and Dimitri, he keeps popping up teasers tonight. So Dimitri said something about column width and the ability to input it. What's that about?
Yeah, don't you hate it when you drag that column and you can't? I know that for you it's an obsession to put it at a precise percentage. So that's infuriating sometimes. I find myself dragging that column and can't put it just right how I want it. We of course we know about this for some time now. So, but very soon we'll have that option to be able to input your percentage in mobile responsiveness, right? So you'll be able to just put 50%, enter, and it will go to 50%. So that will make it more easy to play with those columns.
Good. I'm going to look very forward to that. I've gotten used to this slider, but I know we talk about it. You get to 49.9%, and then it jumps to 50.1%, and then I'll sit for 2 minutes and I'll try to get to that 50%.
Yeah, and the problem is a bit more complex there because you don't expect, for example, if you have two columns side by side, if you drag the one on the right, you don't expect to jump on the next row, right? It's kind of an awkward thing to, oh my God. Yeah, we'll
okay, we got 4 more videos, so you guys hang in there. Abdul, if it's bedtime for you, you gotta let us know. Don't worry, the YouTube video will be there. We're still hanging in there. When we were planning this webinar, we looked at the 90 minutes and I told Dimitri the videos, it's going to be much longer. And he said he doesn't care. Tonight, it's about answering questions and hearing the feedback from people and see what we can work on. So we're going to go into that. If you need to go feed the kids, go feed the cats and dogs. Guys, go ahead and do that. The video will be available on YouTube. And you have joined. So those surprises that come at the end, you will get an uplink and a link for that, not an uplink, a link for that at the end. So let's continue. And then we're almost there. And like my friend Lola used to say, continue. We're going to do this section next, 2 columns. And you can already see that a lot of the content here. We're just going to copy these settings and apply them here, or just copy the elements. We don't have to do that again, and just change the content. So let's go and duplicate this one. I'm going to duplicate the whole block, then go to the left to reorder blocks and grab the one we just duplicated, and the thumbnail is still being generated. I'm just going to drag it down here. And then we just need to change our text here. So this one is limited seats available, reserve now for free. Dimitri, do we want to charge? And then go over here for the column. The first thing I'll do is that I'm going to change the color. This is colors, right? So we're going to put it into teal. Ugh, that's exactly Control Z. Go for border and put it into teal. There we go. Much better. And I'm just going to copy the text and then come here, triple click and paste that text. And then for this one, let's see. We go to this column here, right click on it and say copy. Go to this column, right click and say paste styles. It worked. You see, we just copied that style and this style. It works very well to copy paste styles when you are working with an element that only contains styles and no content like a text element. Then it works very well. What we're going to do is triple click and then we type in here in capitals 10, 100, 10. I keep looking down at my keyboard and the keys are starting to swim. PDT, and then we go for let's try again. AM PDT, and then 12 AM CDT, and then 1 PM ABC, no EDT. And what we're going to do is we're just going to change the heading for this one. Go to the T for typography, make it heading 4, change the color to teal, and we're going to put it on B for bold. I don't think this is a heading 4. I'm wrong. Yeah, go put it back on paragraph. Yep, and then put it on teal and put it in bold, and that's exactly what we want to achieve. We're going to delete these two, this spacer, right click and delete, and then here go to this column, right click and delete. It should take out all of that, and it did. We're not going to use any of these, so we're just going to delete all of them. Delete. I guess there's a quicker way to do this, but I can't think of it at this moment, so I'm just deleting all the content. I could have just brought in another column. Let me do that. Bring in a column, so we do it, and then we delete this column. Pronto. And then just have to drag it again to 60-40. 60, 60, 60, 40. Good, and then we bring in 2 elements over here. Actually 3. We're going to bring a text, and I'm going to put a spacer under it, but I'm not going to bring a second text element because we're going to do everything in this one and then just rewrite everything in the second one. So let me copy the text, and I'm going to and then paste it here. Triple click and paste. And then from there I want to put an enter, and now this is where my heading 4 comes in. Did you see what I did? I had an enter here, paragraph mark, enter or return. So I've got 2 different text areas now. Click within this line, go to T4 typography, put it on heading 4. And then we put it on a darker swatch. And we're going to add some space below. Go to settings, and that's a gap below. We bring it to 10 pixels. And that's it. We're done. That's how it should look. We're happy with that. All we're going to do now is duplicate it like this, and we just click and drag it below that spacer that we have there. And then we're going to change the content. But I'm just going to copy that content again. So that means that I'm going to apply everything that I've done just now again. We'll keep you in the loop, and then enter. Go again to this one, and we put it on paragraph 4. It's already that color, and this one we just move to the gray. Easy peasy, like they say. And then for the spacer, we're going to reduce the spacer to 30 pixels. Let's put it a little bit more at 30. Okay, 30. And I think I'm going to change a little bit to this side. Okay, just to even it out, so we don't have that additional line break and things look a little bit more boxed. That's looking pretty good. Very, very pretty. I like pretty. Pretty is good. Let's save our work, update, Control S. And I think one thing, I look at this title over here. This title is too big. Currently it's on heading 2, and I think the idea is to have it on heading 3. It looks better now. Let's do a little bit of a line break over here to push that now into the next line. You can enter or shift enter if you want to do that. I don't like to break my heading line. So what I do is I'll add padding here. Go to the settings, more settings, and then delink the padding. Then go to the one here on the right. And I'm just going to increase it with the slider until I see the now being pushed to the next line, and that's it. That just gives me that little bit of extra weight to the second line, and it makes feel more balanced. Let's go and check our tablet, and for the tablet we will this time put it on 50-50. So I'm going to drag that column. Did you see what I did there? Let me undo it. Maybe I did it too quickly. Go to the column until you see the blue box, grab the handle and drag it until you see it gets to around 50%. And then this one, you grab the handle and you drag it all the way out. Ooh, you can drag it beyond. Okay, starting to feel like on some carousel. I have to drag it to also around 50% there. Okay, so we would like this to be center, vertical centered. Let me see if we go back to desktop and we go to this column, go to settings, put it in the center, and then we go back to tablet. It will be more center aligned. So I will grab this one and reduce it. Let's see if I click outside. Yes, that looks pretty. And I'm using the word pretty a lot here. We can look at maybe changing and making these fonts a little bit bigger, but it's tablet, so I'm fine with that. And go over into mobile. And mobile is going to be like this. Now what you have to remember with the mobile, we made changes to this one up here earlier. So that's the great thing when you can copy something. You don't have to come and do those changes again that we've done here, 20 and 20. But because we added a new column here, we have to bring in that padding that we've applied to keep it consistent. So we click on it, settings, and then we add padding 20 and 20 over here. Let's see. Very good, very good. Like it. Let's go save our work. And then let's do the next one. And after that, we can check a little bit how it will look on the front end. Before that, let's see what we can talk about. Before we start building this block, one thing I want to show you, actually this is not a Brizy button. We had created this button at the beginning here at the top, but we are going to replace it with some code that we're going to embed near the end of this webinar. So if you were to click on this one now, it's going to do this. Okay, so this has got nothing to do with the Brizy element. This is actually an embed element. What we are going to do though is I'm going to still keep a button here as a placeholder. And then we're going to come and do the links, like the anchor links and the links to the Brizy page, as well as this one where you can save and sign up. We're going to do that at the end. But let's build this block in a jiffy, and then we can do the last block. And after that, we're going to do those links. Go back into our page and we bring our friend, and there's many friends we have here, blank block. I'm going to leave those two, but I'm going to bring in a heading with a text element, and I'm dropping it there at the top. So I'm not including it in there, I'm just putting it at the top. And we say, hurry, we're going live in. And then we will add a counter at the bottom. This one we're going to put on a heading 3. And let's give it a more prominent color. Let's change the background first of the block. Color, we choose teal. And just like before, we're going to reduce the opacity. Makes it a little bit smoother. Next, under this, we bring in a spacer element, so we have some space between these two columns. Bring in my spacer, drag and drop it, and I can play around with the space later. Now I'm going to add an icon over here, again similar to what we've done here, and then I'll place the countdown element over here. So let's grab the handlebar of the columns and put it around. We added at 17 or 18. And then we go here, duplicate the icon, and then click and drag on it. If you get to the bottom, use your arrow keys down on your keyboard and drop it. And we go look for an icon, and I think I found it called Play, P-L-A-Y. Here, this one. Whew, lucky. And wait for it to update. There we go. Let's align it to the left, and while we're doing it, I think we should align this one also to the left. What did we do with this one? Okay, that's a little bit more consistent. Yeah, and I like it. The alignment is also more consistent. Right, let's bring in the counter over here. Countdown, not counter. Countdown over here, the hourglass. Grab and drop it. And let's style it. Click on it. And we can set the time over here. So for the date, you can set the date here. I'm not going to mess. Well, I should mess around with it. 12/10th, is that October? 29 days, so that's October. I have to think days, months, year. Okay, so 13 dash and 09 dash and 2019. Okay, I'm a little bit behind time. And is that correct? Okay. So I'm just going to leave that. You can play around with the time zones, where you are or what you want it to be, whichever the time zone is going to be. I'm going to just leave it, not too worried about it, just for demonstration purposes. Let's change the color now to teal. Oh, that's the wrong one. Undo. Click back here. Change the color to teal. And then we go to T. Let's make this a heading 2. Let's go for a heading 1. Just see how it looks, and then what we'll do is we'll click and drag on it a little bit like so. And then for this one, let's go to the column and we say center line like that. Okay, now we're going to add that button here below it. So what I'll do is I'll go to this button, and I'm just going to do it for placeholder purposes. Duplicate it, click and hold and drag. Then when we get to the bottom of the page, use your arrow keys to scroll through. get here and drop it. And we're going to leave it. No, I think we need a little bit of space there. So let's just bring a spacer from here. Okay, and drag it down a little bit. And we've got our countdown section ready to go. And we will change this button then later with the embed function. Let's go look at our tablet for the tablet view. Okay, now I can increase it a little bit again. Good, and I'm going to decrease this, even take it away. And let's go to this one over here. We're going to run into spacing problems here. So we have to add a little bit of space here on the left. We're going to do that with padding. Click on settings, more settings, delink, and then we go here to the left. Let's add around 20. Good. We got that. And then for the mobile, let's center align this one and reduce over here. We have it at around 18 pixels, and then I'm going to increase it here. And as you can see, we've got problems over here with our labels, so you have to go and reduce it. And before you do that, this is very important. Go to your, what do you call this thing again? Columns. Go to your column settings and add that 25, let's make it rather 20 pixels padding on both left and right. Otherwise, you're definitely going to run into problems with these labels being cut like this. Okay, and then we click on the label again. Let's reduce it. Ugh. Go, 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 go. It's quite a problem bringing it down that much. Okay, that's quite hectic. And I think the color is not that easy to see. Maybe we can change the font, make it a little bit. And this one, okay. Click on the button and center align that. And I think what we should do is go back to the desktop, to our background, and reduce the opacity a little bit more for the text to stand out. That's much better. Having that contrast makes it just so much better. Looking at this, let's go back to the column, and we're going to align this monitor to the top so it is top aligned. So let's go back to our column settings and put it back at the top. I think that looks a little bit more in sync. And tablet, let's just go check after we've made those changes. And mobile, good. Right. And save. Let's do the last part. We bring in a blank block, and I'm going to delete one block. Bring in an icon. Click on the icon, and we change it, and we call this one Facebook. Do 30. And that's fine. Let's change the color to gray. And the overlay we're also going to change to gray, or the hover, right? Not the overlay. Now we're going to duplicate it. Click on it. And then change it to Twitter. And then duplicate it. Change it to YouTube. And then we add spacing, grab the spacer, and we make it 30. Or as close as 30 as we can get. After that, we bring in a text element below there. Let's center align it first, and we type in made with Brizy 2019. Oops. How to create a webinar landing page, and we're going to put it on subtitle, and that's it. You can look at the spacing, add a little bit more here, a little bit more here. While we're doing that, I think we should just look at the spacing here at the top. Let's increase this one to 100. Same up here. Rather more space than not enough. We are done. we're done with the design and the layout. No, we're not done. Remember every time I said you use the word done? Go check your mobile responsiveness. Let's go to tablet. Right, that one looks okay. And then mobile, all the way to the bottom. And I think we can get away with it, except if we have this, we have to add that padding. Go to settings, and let's add 20 on the right, 20 to the left, and then see if it still looks okay. Yeah, now we are done with our styling. Whew, well, quite a mission, right? And yeah, we've taken some time to get here, and it will take much more, of course, if you go and design your own layout, get your photos ready, choose your color palette, choose your font that you want to use, get everything ready. And one of the interesting things actually is that when you try and recreate something, like when I've done it and I tried to recreate it, or like Dimi did something and I tried to do what he did, it sometimes actually takes longer. If you write down on a piece of paper that when you go into tablet mode, this one needs 20 pixels on this side, you may just forget to look. And it's often like when we work in music production, you will often hear people tell you, listen, don't just look at what you see on the computer, listen. And it's the same with website design. You can have those pixel perfect settings, but at the end you have to look and you have to decide, does it look fine? Does it look okay? And don't try to be too precise. You will get caught up in that. And I say that, and I know that when I do my own sites, I focus on those small little things that take up more time than the other things. It's like the 80-20 rule. Let's save our work, Control-Command-S. And let's have a chat first, and then we do all the links. This is Santa Claus bringing us tonight.
Yeah, I thought, you know, if I just wanted you guys to know that I think we are basically obsessed about every little pixel and every little feature, and we discussed and over discussed and rediscussed everything and redesigned everything 1,000 times. So when you're saying or asking some features, I have the sketch here, the main file where everything, the UI, everything is. So it's easy for me to share some ideas, some things that we will be working on or will have in the future or in the near future some, but know that everything I share is just a sneak peek. So it's from the design. Some are not implemented yet at all. Some are in the works. So it's just a sneak peek, right? To know that we already thought about it.
Give us quickly a rundown on the question about auto-saving and saving. I'm working on a page. Do I need to save the page? Do I need to go and click on the update button? What happens if I don't do that?
Yep. So you need to save the page. The autosave, it's now gone. We had that in the past where the builder saved a couple of seconds. But we've removed that. Now you have to manually save, actually, to save your page, or you either press upload or use the shortcuts. I usually use the shortcuts. It's much convenient. But if for some reason you forget to save, or your computer, I don't know, shuts down or something happens, know that WordPress we use the revisions. So every time you press update, and from time to time, we save revisions or your content in the revision. So if you go to the page or post or what you're editing, you'll see there a notice from WordPress saying that we have a newer version of your content. Do you want to update to that, or do you want to see the revision? And you can basically recover your content from there.
Guys, we still have two videos to go. Anthony asked about anchor links, and we are going to look at the anchor links for this specific page next. And then, okay, the one question we've had here is, how can I put anchor links across my site? I will make, and this is a video that we're working on the video docs for, so you can check out next week for it. It can be done. So you can have a link on one page which will link to an anchor link on another page. It's basically your URL / dash and then the link that you've created on that page, but I'll make a video for you guys on that. And then about the Demio, yes, we are going to, the last video will be about Demio. And Dimitri is already discussing on things around Demio. We will show you a little bit more at the end. So let's get to our second last video and to see how you work with the anchors. And Brizy, links for this specific site that we have here. So I think you can still, if I look at the time, 20 more minutes, and then you can have your cocoa and your hot chocolate. Let's add the links. The first links we'll add are to these two elements to take them to the Brizy website, which is brizy.io. Click on the Brizy logo, and then we type in https://, and I earlier said dash, and it's a forward slash, and then Brizy. Is that right? Yes. Brizy.io. My eyes. I'm just going to highlight and copy it as well. Open a new tab. No, we want to keep it in this one. Well, up to you. I think we want to keep it in this one. This is like a home button. Same here, if we say back, we want to do the same. So we click on the link to, and we type it in there. Let's go test that first. We update our work, and then we jump on over to the preview. Let's see, and then click on those links. Ta-da! Okay, and let's do the same for this one. Okay, let's go back. Thinking that's in the page builder. Of course, the link is not going to be there. And then we click on the link. Same thing. Works very well. Right, Peter, let's do the next one. And what we're going to do is we're going to link these now to anchors, to section links. And the first one is going to be our speakers, which is this block over here. Go to the block settings, and then go more settings, and then advanced. And anchor name, you type in there in small caps, one word, speakers. And my spelling is just atrocious at the moment. Speakers. And the next one will be after speakers is topics. This one. Click on the block again, settings, go to more settings, advanced. In anchor name, you say topics. Good. And then we have seats. This is the one, seats, limited seats. And then again, block settings, more settings, advanced, and anchor name, seats. One word, small caps. Now we go back to the top, click on speakers, click on the link, and choose anchor. Now, you actually didn't even need to go and type in those names because it can generate it for you all by itself. The names will be very important, or the IDs will be very important if you were to use a theme and you were creating your own menu header theme. But here you didn't have to. You can just go ahead and click on these blocks. But I like to give it its anchor name. So here you can see this is the one for our speakers. If you click on it, you will see there appears the name as well. And you can double click and change the name from here, even with the edit. But we want to keep it like that. Then click on topics. We do the same. Click on link, go to anchor, and select topics over here. There you see. That's why I like to give it a name in case my blocks are too similar and the thumbnail is too small. I'm not sure which one I chose. Then I know I've got it. And then seats. And then seats. Click on seats and link and anchor. Let's link and anchor it over here. Make sure it is seats. It is. Right, and that's it. We've put all our links here at the top. Update. And then let's go and preview it and make sure that those anchor links are working properly. And preview. Good. Let's have a look. And then we'll also see how it works on our mobile display. So you can see that it will look okay. Speakers, topics. There we go. And then seats. Right, speakers. Wonder why it's not scrolling to speakers. I'll check that soon. And then let's choose your iPhone 8. Let's go and do this. Click on speakers. Topics. Topics is fine, and seats is also fine. What did I do with speakers? Click on that and click again on speakers. Did I deselect it? Maybe I did. I clicked on it and then you click out. Update. Let's hope that was the mistake. Otherwise, I'm going to hit myself with a shovel over the head. And let's update. and go through that process again just to make sure that we got that right. Okay, speakers. Ah, yes, indeed. Okay, we'll just wait for the cell phone. I think the mobile display hasn't updated. There we go. Speakers. Speakers. Let's reset that. Technology, right? Gotta love it. Gotta hate it. Alrighty, there we are. Good. Good, 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 good. Cool, 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 cool. Jack Peralta. That's the way we like it. And those are the settings. So we set the settings up here for a home page as well as back to brizy.io plus this. And then for the last one, before we get to the last one, let's have a quick chat before we look at how to embed the Demio webinar link in our page. Right, so this is webinar number 3, and we're still going through the growing pains. But one thing that we are very grateful for is having started off on a platform that we quickly mastered how the platform works. And after that, we can really not blame anything on, when we talk about technical difficulties, we cannot blame it on Demio at all. It's things on our side because my internet where I am in the Gramadulis is totally horrendous, and that's just one of those realities. But if you live in an average size city or town, you're going to have good internet. You will be able to run superb webinars with Demio. And before we started actually with our first webinar, Dimitri and I were looking at various options, and Dimitri got the suggestion for Demio and he checked it out and we tested it and we were very impressed with it, and the first one went very well. And in terms of ease of use and interface, it is just perfect. So highly recommend it if you ever consider doing any kind of webinar. How it is set up, how it works, it is just super convenient, very intuitive and easy to work. And one of the things that Demio prides themselves in is what you are doing. You just click on the link and it doesn't matter which browser you are using, it will show up there and it will work well. Whether it is an Internet Explorer or Edge, it will work. And that makes it actually faster. And they say they've tested it than many of the other apps that you get currently on the market, where you have to download the app and install it on your phone. And I don't want to go too much into that. You log in, you open an account, and then when you get to your dashboard, you're going to see here, these are the previous events. And all you need to do is go to events, and then you can say add new event. And then over here, you can copy, or you can say it's going to be a live event. You can copy a previous event and then repeat it, or a live event, which is this one, or an automated event. So I'm going to say here on live event. Then we give it a name, exercise ideas for web designers. And that's going to be a very short webinar, I believe, if we get anyone who subscribes to that kind of event. And then schedule this event, my dear. Single date and time. If you have recurring times, like if you set up like a weekly thing or a monthly thing. So let's choose a date for next week and we're going to start. And this will depend on what you had set your time zone up here. So currently it is set to Bucharest. So I'm just going to grab here a time. This is just for example, and then add to event schedule. And session has been scheduled. All right, so let me just quickly see. Here is our event. 0 have registered, and then now you go to customization where you can set it up. But we are interested in this area here called our share function. This is a link as simple as that you can put on your site with your own button. But we are looking at this one for the embed options that you can embed within your site as you embed it, as you build it. You get inline embedding, and then you get your popover, your pop-up, your modal that you can do. And over here, you are going to style your button. Let me just quickly. So first, let's go here. We're going to choose button. You can choose link. We're going to go for button. We keep it on medium. And then over here, click on the color and you add the code for the color that you want to use. You remember this teal color that we have set. Keep it responsive. And then over here, this is what's going to happen when you see the button. And we're going to say save your spot. Save your spot with your U. With your U, and then over here, pop over button text, right? Register now. Let's just add something like that. Register now. Good. Now everything has been drawn into the script. Now I want to say the first and most foremost thing, I come from a designing background. So when it comes to scripting and coding, I'm a zero hero. I know absolutely nothing. That is where Demi comes in. What you do here is you click on it, and as you click on it, it will select all the script by itself and copy it. You don't need to highlight all of it and then copy it. It has been already copied to your clipboard. Let's have a quick look what happens to this if you go into your site now. I'm going to place an embed element under this button. Over here is the embed element. Click and drag it, drop it there. Click on it, and if you click here on that icon, you have this space here where you can paste that script. So I'm going to Control Command V, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Currently, the button will not display in the back end, something we are aware of. Let's update it, and then we go preview it on the front end, whether that button is truly being displayed. And then we go view it, and and bazinga. There you go. If you click on the button, there is your pop-up. Beautiful. It's done. People can register. Nice. Very interactive. Good conversion. But you, like me, will not like that font over there. You would like to have it at Noto Sans so you can keep your site consistent. What you need to do for that, and remember when you are working with text and coding and script, don't use Word. Go for Notepad. It's much easier. So you go back to friend Demio over here and you copy that. You bring in Notepad and then you paste the text. And then Demi had given me this little bit of extra text that I had entered myself. It was a big experience for me. Over here, after span style equals font family Noto Sans, letter spacing equals 1 pixel. This will tell your script that you're going to use Noto Sans as your family and that the spacing between your letters will be 1 pixel. If you don't know about these things, you can just copy this and it will work perfectly. There are people that will help you with that. And because we are promoting here, we can give you this script later on. Just ask us for it. Not much else you can do with it, but this will help you to change the font for the button. So let's go back and we click here over here again on the embed. And now I'm going to paste that script that I have made myself with Noto Sans. Remember to go update it. And we wait for it. I was wondering what I was singing. Ancestors, hear my plea. Help me not to make a fool of me. And to not uproot my family tree. And let's see. Please bring honor to us all. There we go. And of course, what you can do is you can put the button in a container to restrict the size because it will go 100% width to the container which it is within. Let's click on this button, and this is now the front end. So let's go back to the back end. I'm going to click on this button and delete it. And then this one over here. Dare I drag and drop it? I cannot see it. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll just paste it again. Let's go to this one over here. Let's go and grab the embed element. Drag it over here. And this one, we may have to put it in a column. Let's see. I paste the code again, the code that we just brought in. And I'm just going to keep that button for the moment so that I can see my dimensions. And let's preview it. Close this one out. And come on, chameleon. Right, there we go, save your spot, and then we go, this one should be the whole length. So that's what I mentioned to you. You have to put it in a container. So in this case, you can either go here and you can go to your settings, more settings, and I am working on the fly here now. I don't know if this is going to work or not. We can say 33% from our left. No, we want to go to padding. Let's go to padding, 33%. I'm going to put it on percent. And 33% on the left, and then we should have around 33% in the middle. This is a big guess. I'm not sure if this is going to work at all. Trial and error, and then we go again and review our work. And it worked. Whew, what a big sigh of relief. The tension, you could cut it with a knife in the house. Okay, so let me just quickly explain to you what I had done there. I had restricted this button or this container's width by applying padding in the middle and to the right. And you can actually see here there are handles that you can drag. one of those things that will be fixed, so don't worry too much over that. But the workaround that I had found for that one, and not a bad one, was to apply the padding in percentage. That's how I will keep to the 3-column structure with that. So let's delete this button and we say goodbye to that button. And this is it. Here we are at the end, and my time has even run out here. I should go and check my settings for this. So let's see last few questions and what we can talk about this site that we had made in this webinar. Yes, I already put up the goodies by mistake, so it's been seen, it's been sawn,
no, it's okay.
sawn.
It's perfect.
All right. Okay, so I think before we talk about the goodies, and you guys can read about the goodies there, I had looked at the last questions we had gone through, and I think we covered the questions. There's a few more still, and I think we had very, very good discussions here tonight. And Dimitri and I had already been talking about some of the ideas you've given me. He already has given himself work for the weekend. You should go and relax this weekend, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do that, and also try to squeeze a draft for. Yeah, I see this question a lot actually on our YouTube channel. I think you saw it. You see it daily. This mobile view in this browser seems to be an eye catcher. So yeah, why not?
Right.
We'll see what can be done.
Right, guys. A few things then. Number one, I think we say this a lot. The video for this will be available afterwards. We'll have a look at how the final recording looks and whether the YouTube videos came out well. If we think that can look a little bit better, we will combine and stitch these videos together in a separate video so you can watch it from the beginning to the end. It won't then include any of the comments. And I think the comments is the highlight of this webinar, but you will get that and you will get a link. With that link that Dimi will be sending out to you, the first one is we're giving a 10% discount code for any Brizy Pro plan for the people who attend here tonight, including the limited. Then Dimi had been working very closely in this week with the people from Demio and showed all the good works that we've done here, and they will providing you with 1 free month of their starter plan that you can go and try out and see how it works for yourself. And then the third goodie is that we will be giving you this page that we have created for you in XML format, so you can import it in WordPress. And it was something that I also had to learn because I never imported things. Can you believe it? I work with it and I leave it there on the site, and I work with clients before. So Dimitri had to teach me this week also how to do that. So for you who don't know how to work with the import and export XML, we will have a short video for you on that as well, so that you can see how that will work. Any last words from you, Dimitri, before we say adieu?
Yeah, guys, thanks a lot for being here. One important thing is that it's almost 11 p.m. right now, so the email with all these goodies will come maybe in the weekend, but most likely early next week. So hang in there. We'll send it to you, and that's actually it. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you for the. Yeah, we have 81 people who made it all the way to the end, and John, who skipped the in between and came just back for the goodies at the end. So thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you again. Good night. Bye.
Yep. Bye. See you in the next one.